This meeting is.
Hi, good evening, kids. All right, I have a feeling we'll all have to mute ourselves because the voice is echoing a lot today. So, good evening, children. Thank you for coming to the Common App Essay Workshop. I know we're really early, and a lot of you must be wondering who discusses and who talks about the Common App in March. Well, the truth is, everyone, and we've done this analysis, everyone who started thinking about their Common App in March are the ones who ended up writing one of the best essays and actually getting into their top choices. So, based on that analysis, I think Shaburi and I were very keen to take this forward. We will be running a couple more over the year, but let's make this very, very interactive. This is going to be a very small group of students. So we obviously want to go, hopefully get you all putting your nails out to actual writing. Let me introduce myself. Ninad, would you be okay if I start?
Yes, ma'am. Awesome.
Awesome. Let me introduce myself. My name is Priyanka Bhartia. I'm the founder of Admission Specialist, Managing Director to India and Middle East for Accept You, which is the world's largest counseling company. What we do is we try and ensure that every student gets into one of their top colleges. And obviously, a very, very large chunk of it is your essays. And mind you, the Common App essay being the cherry on the top. I'm a journalist and essay editor. I have been working with 55 schools across the country for many, many years now, and hopefully helping students get into one of their top colleges. And to be honest, I have been doing that. 90% have managed to succeed in colleges. I'm very excited. Just today, my master's, undergrad plus master's, I've got a Harvard and a Columbia as well. So obviously a big day for me. But with that woohoo moment, please allow me to hand over the online mic to Shabs. I call her Shabs, but her name is Shaburi Mary Shields, and allow her to introduce herself.
Hi, good afternoon for you guys, everybody. You can all hear, right? Right, okay. I'm having a few technical trouble. So my name is Shabri Shields. I have been working in schools for the past 25, 26 years. I've worked in the UK for a long time. I have worked in the Middle East for a considerable time. And my last job was in India, in Mumbai, where I was part of the college counseling team for Dhirubhai Ambani School. Obviously, throughout that journey, it's been a learning curve for me, just as it is for my students. But the one thing that I have particularly enjoyed is working with students to bring out the best of their profile for their applications. Obviously, I am very passionate about ensuring that you get your best fit college. And also that, as Priyanka said, your Common App essay really should be a time where you can connect to the admissions officer who's going to be reading your application and make the best impression of your best self. And hopefully by the end of this workshop, you will have some ideas as to how you do that.
Thank you so much, Shabs. Let's bring on our student mentors. Jivantika, you want to give your introduction?
Okay, sorry, don't mind my voice right now. I've been going through a really bad cold, but my name is Jivantika, and I've been with Accept You for the past year. They've helped me with my Common App essay, my supplementals, but a little bit more about me. I ED'd to George Washington in DC. That's where I've been for the last 7 years. Recently, I moved back to Hyderabad 2 years ago. And I would like to say I'm more of a traveler in the real sense of the word. I've lived in 2 continents so far because of my dad's job. And through this, I've learned to appreciate people from different cultures, different backgrounds. And part of that has been the reason why my major has been economics. That's the field I want to go into, economics, finance. So I hope that through this Common App essay, I can give you a glance into who I am through my essay, and also help you guys find a little bit of yourself and be able to portray that in your essay.
Beautiful. Let's move on to Anish.
Hi everyone, I'm Anish. I have been working with Acceptee for the last 2 years, I think. Recently, I got early action acceptances to USC and UT Austin. A little bit about me, I love literature, I'm into reading, but I'm an artistic person in general. I love art, I love music, and I hope that comes through best in my Common App essay. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's move on to Harika.
Hi everyone, I'm Harika. I've been with Accept2 since the past year. I got accepted into Wellesley College under Early Decision 1. A little about me, I'm planning to major in psychology and English, and along with that, I'm also a pianist. I've always been into music, and I'm also into swimming. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Ira.
Hi, my name's Ira. I moved to the UAE during COVID. That's a little bit about me. I'm majoring in architecture. I would say I'm a very creative person. I love art, music. I also really enjoy baking and cooking. So that's, yeah.
Perfect. And Ira's very passionate about feminism as well. And I hope she does talk about it at some point of time in
Yes,
her essay.
of course.
Here's what we're going to do today, kids. Let's move on. It's obviously your essay, your story, your chance to get into your dream college. Ninad, can we move to the next slide? Again, I'm a croaking frog as well today, and so maybe Shaburi. Ignore us, please. What students fear? I know each one of you all are thinking this. And believe me, for the last 20 years, we have heard this. You're not the first. You're not going to be the last. I can't write. I have no topic. 650, unique. Someone else. No one can help. Can't someone do it for me? No. And some more blah, 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 blah. Honestly, it's just blah, blah, blah. Every single one of you can write. Please believe in me. Please believe in us. Y'all will manage to write your Common App essay, and very, very beautifully. Next, please, Ninad. This is going to be the most important page, and I really want you all to concentrate here for a moment. Here's how we're going to help you understand this Common App essay workshop and actually build your Common App essay. First thing we're going to talk about is let's build the porch, how to visualize it. Jivantika and I will be taking on. You will be doing a short writing assignment. Now, kids, remember, writing means write it. Take the freedom. No one's judging you here. No one knows anyone here, okay? And put it on the chat box. Shabri and I will randomly be picking up whatever sounds really appealing, whatever sounds fun to read, and we'll help that student. So make sure you write it. If you're not going to write it in the chat box, we can't help you anymore, okay? So feel free to write there, okay? Second point will be let's plan the 5-point story. The structure, Anish and Mary will walk you through that. Arc of change will be between Harika and me. Finally, passion and growth will be with Ira and Mary. And eventually, if we have time, let's talk about the essays we love and the essays we don't. Okay, moving to the beginning. Don't show the writing assignment yet, Ninad. Jivantika, you want to talk about how you went about visualizing your story.
Before I start talking about that, I would just like to say that the way Priyanka ma'am said that you should just get started with writing, a difficulty I had when I was writing my essay was I couldn't just start. There was like no point and I didn't know where to start. But visualizing and narrative style of writing is something that I think is really effective because you're trying to put out a story for the admissions officer to be able to see who you are. And they only have like 5 minutes to get a glance into your life. So this is something that you should really be focusing on. And for my essay, I focused on a metaphorical style of writing, wherein an example that I could give, my opening statement for my essay was, my dining table became a vibrant canvas with pots of paint and colored pencils brighter than the sun. The smiles on the faces of the kids who lived next door, their little fingers grabbing the biggest paintbrushes, reminded me of when I was 4 years old, running around my house, painting every wall I could find. Each of the kids I mentored worked on unique pieces, from realistic drawings of apples to fantastic illustration of aliens. Although the pieces were different, they reflected parts of each of them. It reminded me of my first painting, a splatter of blue-yellow representing the start of seeing my life as a work of art. So what I tried to do through this section of my Common App essay was use something that wasn't in my activities as much or my portfolio. So art is something that I've been connected to from a very long time, which was easy for me to be able to visualize and put out a picture, but it wasn't directly connected to my major, which is economics. So what I did was I tried to put parts of art into my essay to make it seem like a seamless way of like connecting both my passions. And you guys can do this by like visualizing or like vividly talking about a specific moment of your life that was important or that was a big part of your growth and development as well.
So thank you, Javantika. When we talk about visualizing children, imagine the porch. Imagine your home, right? Your perfect home, your dream home, or the home you live in has an entry. The entry has a smell. The entry has a tree or a flower. The entry may have a broken piece of wood. The entry may have a cracked kind of a nameplate. There's so many little elements of touch, feel, and sensations that the entry brings. Imagine your story as a home, and your porch has to bring in all the sensory organs of allowing them to see what your home might be like. That's called the porch, or what a lot of people like to call the opening hook, but the opening hook is really narrow. So let's imagine a porch. Let's see your first assessment of writing. Ninad, can we move to it? Okay, this is really exciting. I love this book. If you all haven't read it, obviously I'm an author and a reader, and I have done a lot of New York Times writing workshops. This is one of their favorites. I Remember by Joe Brainard. And if you haven't read the book, read it. It's literally pages and pages of I remember the fall of the first snowflake. I remember when my stomach got upset and the stink of the loo. Literally as crazy as those things. And when you actually take the next 1 to 2 minutes to write it down, don't overthink it. Just write, I remember, blah, 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 blah. Okay? We don't care about the English. We don't care about anything here. I do use kindly. But if you can do that for the next 1 minute, then for the next 2 minutes, you can actually use one of the I remembers to build your porch or your story. And you'll see that in my first story that I wrote with the New York Times, I wrote so many I remembers of playing cards and family. So it was pretty obvious that that would be the nucleus of my story. All right. So with that, let's start your I remember. Ninad, we're going to give everyone a minute, maybe a minute and a half, to first write their I remembers. The next assignment, the 2 minutes one, you all can do later. So kids, please start typing right on the chat box here, whatever you remember. Your 1 minute starts now. Student mentor, Shabs and me, we can start seeing as the children hopefully start typing in. Okay, children, I don't see any typing so far. Does anyone else?
No, I can't see any either, Priyanka.
Children, please take the liberty of writing in the chat box put your I remembers there so that we can select y'all. Y'all don't have to direct message me. Y'all can just put it on the open chat box. Okay, I have a beautiful one in front of me. Parishi, would you mind putting it on an open chat group? Ninad, are they being able to type on the open chat?
Yeah, it's come, Priyanka.
Awesome. Oh, this is beautiful. And just like that, she has the opening porch. Everyone will be able to imagine a mountain, a
Yeah.
forest, the smells, the feels. Children, I hope y'all are looking. I really would love more. Shabs, did you want to select Parishi's and talk about it maybe in a bit? We could get her
I
to.
actually, it's funny, I just identify very much with Anya's bit about the Google Meet, because when I joined Dhirubhai, it was the pandemic. So I had only met these kids online, and it was so scary because you don't know if anybody's actually listening to you or is anyone there, because cameras off, mics off. So that to me is really very resonating.
Perfect. I'll pick up Parishi's then because that's so resonating with me. Oh my God, I can
Yeah.
almost smell the wet mud here. Strange, right? The English word is Petri chaw or something like that for Sondi Khushbu.
No, I wouldn't know actually.
Correct. So Parishi, we can literally start with that, Sondi Khushbu. And there are not too many words that really describe it in the English format. All right, I think the 1 minute is over, Ninad.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, assuming, oh, I do see one more child responding. I think that's nice. Oh, oh, that sounds really cute with Ushi as well. All right, Shabari, why don't you go with the first one you want to go with?
Yeah, okay. So I think I'd like to pick up on Anya's uh, bit about her Google Meet. So what I like about this is it's contemporary in the sense it's something that's happening to everybody or happened to everybody. So when we are writing for our audience, we need to think about who is this audience. And for you, with your Common App, your audience is your admissions officer. It's as simple as that. That's the person you have to make the connect with. And your admissions officer for sure will be able to connect with this because they will have had to do virtual meets throughout the pandemic, where they're trying to reach students, talking about their university experience via a virtual world. So I think this is a nice topic to go with. Okay. So, and you've said that you understood how it felt like to be an online teacher. And that's something we could actually develop in terms of the frustrations, the positives and the negatives of that online experience that we all had, which actually is still continuing. Look, we're doing this online. 20 years ago, this would be in a hall somewhere. You would have all have to travel an hour and a half to attend. Priyanka, I wouldn't be able to do it because I'm in the UK. Priyanka's in Mumbai. So this is very contemporary. So I really like this idea. And this gives a good understanding of you being able to identify with what something most people have felt. So I think we could definitely work with this as your first introduction to yourself. Where we
Yeah.
go from here is something that we need to think about, right?
And that's the same for you exactly, Parishi. A story about trekking, a story about loving the mountains can go very generic to very specific. And your porch has to be able to bring or capture the attention of the reader right off. So if you tell me, I remember the sound of the bumblebee buzzing around my ear to realize or to hear another sound of crash or thump or something interesting that connects, and the reader's like, whoa, what happened? Because so far he's like, oh, this is about nature, this is about mountain, and then that bumblebee buzzing leads to something else, it would be really interesting. So Parishi, in the next writing assignment, I would like you to continue with this porch and take that further. Kids, do you all want to pick up anyone? We have a couple of them here. My student mentors. We have, remember walking to school. I remember the first time I tried to read a book. Jivantika, do you want to pick up anything that you feel is visualization here?
I really like the one that Manasvi did. I feel like that would be one of those openings that you could do, like the fear of walking onto the stage, or like the confidence with walking onto the stage, how like the lights were blinding. You could really go into detail with describing the beginning of how you felt. And after that, you could kind of just go in and talk about all the things that make you who you are, like including your student council campaign speech and the things you talked about, your beliefs, your values. And I feel like that could be a well-rounded essay that could come out from that.
In my mind, your second I remember is very strong. Sitting in my parents' room, laughing every night, savoring the last hour before we went to bed. It's phenomenal. It shows so much about you. It's something that you can then eventually build up to how you use that last hour or last minute or last moment of everything that you have done to the best in ways to capture the memory forever, and how you plan to do it in college as well, right? Because at the end of the day, the college is not looking just for students. They're looking for students who will connect with each other. So, how you build that up might be very memorable. All right, great. Writing assignment 1 kind of comes to an end. I hope this was useful. Kids, y'all can please feel free to write in the chat box, oh, this was interesting, oh, we hated it, oh, we didn't even know what to do about it. Feel free. We like the brickbats and we love the bouquets. Of course, we love the bouquets more. Let's not deny that, but we're open to the brickbats. Should we move? Ninad, you wanted to go back to show them what's going to be the next writing assignment? We keep going back to that page, remember? Okay. Anish, you want to take on with Mary now?
Yeah, no problem. So what I wanted to bring to the table was the 5-point story, which, so essentially when you write your comment, you take, and you're looking for stories, for me, it was important to take my stories and turn them into 5 condensable points. And that served 2 purposes. One was it ensured that my essay would be 650 words or under, because for me, I write a lot, even for the 5-point stories, a lot of my additional tasks were 700, 750 words. And that would be an issue if I'm writing a 1,000-word essay that's incredibly dense, filled with information, filled with, it's the most beautiful essay ever, but it's 1,000 words, I can't submit that to the comment. And the 5-point story allowed me to look at a story and see whether it came full circle within 5 sample points, and whether I could take those 5 points and expand them to the point where they would make 650 words. The second purpose for me was that it provided structure, because I think for the Common App, it's really easy to veer off track when you start writing. It's really easy to start with one idea and deviate into something completely else, and something completely different, and before you know it, you're out of words and you can't get back to your original idea. So the 5-point story for me helped isolate the specific points, the specific ideas I wanted present in my essay, and ensure that they were present throughout. And by the end of reading it, any reader would absorb that information and know me by me. Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to talk about is really building on what Anish has just said. 650 words is not that much, to be really honest. And the key here is you have a structure with each paragraph conveying a message to your admissions tutor, but then also moving on to something to develop your story. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 2 types of writing style that you can use for your Common App. One is a narrative style, which I think Jivantika is going to talk about in more detail, where obviously it's a story that you have a start, which Priyanka has talked about in terms of introducing the porch, which is the hook to get people in. Then you have a main body, and then you have a conclusion. Okay, and within the main body, as Anish said, you have certain number of paragraphs, okay, 5 points, 4 points, whatever. And you divide those words up so that you are giving each of those aspects of your essay relatively the same amount of importance and allowing the reader to understand where you're going. You can also do a different style of essay, which is called a montage style, where each paragraph talks specifically about something. And I will show you an example of a very well written montage style essay. And I will show you a very well written narrative essay when we get to the end of this session. So for me, just like if you're writing an essay in psychology or English, I would have little headings for yourself, at least, of the 5 points. Okay. So if we talk about the Google online lesson that what was it, Anya mentioned, then where do we go from there? So Anya, your job then will be to bring out 5 things that this experience taught you, okay, or this experience made you realize, or this experience actually helped you to grow as a person, and then we have our conclusion. Does that make sense? Okay.
So should we introduce the next writing assignment, Shabs?
Yeah, I think we should.
Awesome. Ninad, move to, okay. Now, one thing, children, try and build on your porch while writing the 5 essential elements. So you've already written your porch, you've written your I remember. Select one of the I remembers and try and build 5 points of that porch. So now you're opening the door to your home and you're showing 5 most important elements of your home, your story. All right. So try and imagine it like that. Keep visualizing and writing. So you've got 2 minutes now to write this. In the chat, please write it to everyone, and so that all of us can pick up and talk about it. Okay, it really does help because you'll get more benefits with, let's say, Anish or Ira or Harika or Shabs or me, anyone picking it up and commenting on it. And you'll realize that by the end of this whole assignment, you would have done a lot of writing. Your 2 minutes starts now. Ninad, you keep a tab. Also, Ninad, can you make me the co-host so I can put on the chat? No, Ninad, you've actually removed me from the chat altogether now. Okay. Children, feel free to write it on the chat box. So while you're writing, we can also start seeing it. Parishi, what are the 5 points that you want to talk about in this essay? You've managed to do what I asked you to do. Brilliant. What are the 5 points your 650 words will contain? What Shabari mentioned, it's not that long. It finishes before you even realize it. Right, Shabs? Did you read it?
Sorry, yes, yeah. I think you need to have more specifics. For me, the key thing to bring this alive to the reader is to have examples. If you don't have examples of things, if it's just a collection of words, it might sound nice, but it doesn't actually give the reader any sense of who you are or what you did or how you developed or how you grew. So I think examples are really important. Like I'll just for my Google one, I'll just give you an example. On my second lesson, I didn't realize that my mic was not switched off, and I had a long conversation with my maid about cleaning the toilet, okay, and how she should do it, right? um, so that if somebody read my essay and I mentioned that, they would find it funny. Priyanka's just giggled, right? And that's what it's about. It's about connecting the person, because the person will know that they've done the same as well, right? Or that they've stood up not realizing that they have their pajamas on, and they haven't, they've got their shirt and tie on but their pajamas, because this was a condition of how we worked from home then. So then how did that make you feel? How did you grow from that? How did you learn from that? What happened next time, etc. So these are the little kind of things, the little anecdotes that make your story interesting, which are really important.
Yes, and exactly, students, the biggest learning for you all, what sounds good may not be a good Common App essay. Okay, it's something that you all have to realize and learn. Everyone falls in love with their essay at some point of time. Don't do it, because the audience, the reader, has to fall in love with it. So go back, Parishi, take a minute and again think, what are the 5 things you want to talk about? You've done your visualization. You've done a phenomenal job. You've taken my idea of the bee and moved on. This is still just your porch. What are the 5 things your essay will have? Is something you need to go back to. I see another one who's put it in here, Anya. She's actually put 2 points very clearly here. What do you think? Anyone? Anish, Harika, Jivantika, Ira, jump in. Let's just provide access to these kids who've come in to help themselves here.
Yeah, Anya, I totally agree with you. The poor Wi-Fi where you cut out, and you've made a brilliant point, and then you realize nobody's heard it because the Wi-Fi wasn't working, right? So this is the kind of thing that a reader can identify with and will find interesting.
Yeah. And I love, I keep looking at that. I don't know how you are, Anya. I get very worried in Zoom because the screen, it becomes a whole screen. And I never understood how much is my Wi-Fi level. So I keep moving away from the whole screen so that I can see the curves of the Wi-Fi. It should not go below 2 or 3. And I call them the frowning curves. So just something as simple as that becomes a part of your story, because someone will connect and say, oh yeah, you're right. It's almost like a frowning curve. So, Anya, great job. You moved with 1 and 2. You should know the next 3 points. And the next 3 points must include, how does the story move on? What's the purpose of this story? Which will be coming very soon, the arc of change. Did we see another? We have another student here.
We are across the 2 minutes limit.
Awesome. Yeah, we've started discussing anyway. So kids, y'all can stop writing.
Can I just give a little bit of feedback to Vidushi, please?
Of course,
Vidushi, I like your writing the book. Books, for a lot of us, books are very, very important, But the only thing again is, you've said the first time I tried to read a book, okay? What book was it? Was it Dr. Seuss' Cat in the Hat? Was it an Enid Blyton? Was it a Pride and Prejudice? Tell me about the book, because then more often than not, the person reading will understand how you felt. Okay. So that's something I think, again, examples for me are really, really important. Otherwise, they can't identify with what you're trying to say, you know? Why were you trying not to bend the pages? Was it from the library? Was it something passed down from your grandma? So those are the kind of things we need to just elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, I can almost imagine podgy little jammy fingers trying to hold a book, being told to keep it very well. So that whole thing needs to be bought in. And same with you, Sanvi. Remember, you'll probably hear it once too often, and it's very annoying to be told, oh, we see so many Indian girls write about dance. So what? It's your story. But how you put your story makes all the difference. When I read this, I remember walking into class, watching all the elder kids dancing and imagining what it would be like to be in their shoes. It's very interesting. But if you go into dancing has always been a significant part of my life, I'm like, then why did you need to imagine? Right? So it's very important. Was it that you had two left feet? Was it that you were very conscious? Was it that you could not dance very well, could not walk very well? Uh, was it that you were always shoved into a corner because you come from a family of 10, 12 different cousins who are beautiful swan-like dancers and you weren't? It's very important. And I know your message is it taught you to be calm, but again, go back to what Shabri keeps saying. Give us an example. 650 words. You have to make your story narrow. All of us can say dancing makes us calm. Who's to believe it's my story or yours? It's your examples that will make it different. Oh, I'm really enjoying this. Lots of people are typing now. Kids, my student mentors, jump in. Anish, please start reading the top 5 and seeing what you like. Anish, I think you will like what Manasvi has done.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So, what I'd like, I noticed Manasvi's story, and I really like how it's as I think like Shabri ma'am said, it was like it seems to be a categorical structure. I think that's really interesting, and lots of students don't do that. So, writing an essay like that would set yourself apart. I think some feedback I would give is a lot of this essay seems to be summaries of like big instances or activities. And I think when your essay is entirely one about your biggest activity, you run the risk of writing stuff that will already be visible in all parts of your application. Like Common Apps and your Common App is special because you can give insight into your personality in a way that no other part you can give in a way that you can give into no other part of your essay. So lots of people, and like it's a good technique, lots of people try to write about something that is more intimate, more personal to you. And this doesn't necessarily seem to have that. If you are going to write about your MUN conference, if you are going to write about moving to a different country, I would like to see you hone in on specific things. I would like to see you hone in on one day while you're organizing an MUN conference, or like one quirky instance that set apart that for you set apart this experience from all of your other organizational experiences, or all the other MUN conferences you've been through. I'm sure you can find that. And I think that kind of writing, that kind of shedding light on your personality is what makes for the best content.
I think in short, what Anish is trying to say is find a very tiny slice of your life. And I really like, I don't know if you, Shabs, have you read Saket's? I love how beautifully he's managed to do a collaboration and a complete different, so there's like a wholly different perspective and yet so similar, and how one's helped him to move one to the other. But again, take from Anish Saket, make it a small slice of your life. Make it one small example of you at Isha to one small example of you at Oak Ridge, where your arc of change is, when did I grow? When did I know I could move from that to this? And
Okay,
that would be
Saket,
really beautiful.
so one of the essays, if we have time at the end, I will share, is written in a montage style, where the student has compared herself to the 4 C's of a diamond: carrot, clarity, but she's used creativity, culture, communication as her 4 C's. And she has, because she also moved countries. So this is why this came to my mind. But each little montage she wrote was about her experience when she lived in Bangkok. Then she wrote when she lived in Pune. Then she wrote in the pandemic. And then she wrote in Mumbai. So they were all little experiences. So they didn't become a big mess, as it were, but they were very definite. So there were little clear shots of her different experiences. And I think yours could work quite well because you're
Yeah.
moving through these different experiences.
And I don't know, Saket, would you mind unmuting yourself? I'm very excited to know what's your major going to be because I clearly have an idea, like Shabs had an idea. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Saket.
Yeah, my major is in computers and physics. That's my idea right now. I'm not exactly sure, but something related to engineering.
Awesome. So one of the ideas I had, and Shabri will probably connect, is one of our children wrote his entire essays in equations, right? And I
Oh,
almost can see it with yours. It's literally going to be Isha equal to nature plus serenity or whatever equal to something. And then you talk about it, and eventually how the Isha is equal to Oak Ridge experience. So Oak Ridge will be, and I've been to Oak Ridge, I've been to Isha, so I know how different the campuses are. So, Oak Ridge is obviously going to be buildings and structure and overwhelming students. So how do you then make that combined together at the end would be phenomenal.
yeah, I
So
feel
see
like that'd
how
be
you
a
can give that twist.
yeah, I feel like that'd be a great concept because like I can start from how it was in the US and then Isha and then Oak Ridge. So all of those, I
Oh,
feel like
wow.
connected also. Yeah.
I feel like
Perfect.
for his essay, something from more like creative angle would be because you want to do something with engineering. It's not directly related, but you could talk about the architecture of buildings. So you could open with a scene of you on your dad's shoulder or something, and you're in like a big city and you're going through and you see all these big buildings, and you could connect those buildings to different parts of where you've traveled. And then you could talk about how they come together to make a city, and you want to go out into the future and be able to like whatever you want to do with engineering or CS and show how each component or those buildings have created the person you are and just
Yeah. Made a city out of you in some
yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
That sounds
Ira will understand that completely. Don't you think, Ira? All
Yeah,
right,
for
we're
sure.
obviously going on. So Ira is one of our architecture students, as she did, and she chose to move away completely from architecture into a totally different essay, which she'll talk about. All right, in the obviously, we're never going to have enough time to go through all, but let's continue this. Ninad, move back to that page so we know how to introduce our writing assignment 3. Now, you kids have understood we've done 1, we've done 2. We're going to move to the arc of change, which Harika is going to talk about her essay, and then I'll talk about its importance and criticality in a 650-word essay before we introduce the assignment 3. Remember, your 1 and 2 will help you build on your 3rd. Okay, so start writing them together as you move on. Obviously, due to lack of time, we'll pick up just a couple, but we will constantly try and pick up on the newer kids. So please feel free to write. Okay, Harika, you want to talk about transition. Talk about your essay and your transition.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I would like to tell you what my essay was about. I've been into music since the age of 6. I've been learning to play the piano since the age of 6. So my essay is as simple as learning how to play a new piece, a piece that was really difficult for me to learn. It's called Presto. So my essay is it's basically about how learning a piece like that made changed my approach towards things, and like I'm gonna tell it better. So basically, this piece was different from the pieces I usually used to play, which were like slow or really melodious. But this one was pretty fast, and I was 14, so I thought I could do it the way I did the other pieces very easily. But as I played it, I realized that with this speed, I was not able to cope up, and I would make really silly mistakes no matter how many times I played it. And my arc of change was basically what my piano teacher told me when I made these very silly mistakes over and over again. So this is how it went. It took a lot of commitment and perseverance to play this piece without messing up. However, I still found myself losing control of my fingers and making blunders. My piano teacher was quick to notice this, and I remember her words even today. Playing the piece with the mere intention of getting it over with is never going to be appealing to your audience. Feel the emotions behind this composition and then lay your hands on the piano. Basically, perform, but don't play. This small period of mastering the piece helped me realize something. Just like my attitude towards the piece in the beginning, there were many times where I made hasty decisions without figuring out my thoughts first. A music note may sound simple and plain, but all of them appropriately joined together would make a song. Stopping midway, the composition would only lead to an incomplete rendition. However, finishing the song would let you know its outcomes. The same applies to any problem or hardship in our life. Stopping halfway through would not erase the issue, but would only increase the time period of it. Moving through it would make it disappear. It was then that I realized what an escape music really is. So I think the main concern for my essay, especially since I wanted to show how I changed as a person, was to focus on the positive side of me and not, make the previous side of me portray as I was negative. Like, I did not want that to happen, though I wanted to show how I was before and after. But overall, I think what I tried to say is how a simple incident like just learning how to play a new piece made a really big transition in my life. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Why is that important? Why is the arc of change important? You could write 650 words on just the porch. You could write 650 words on just building the 5 points, as you clearly saw, right? But the reader wants to know you. The reader has 6 minutes or 10 minutes to know you. And your Common App essay is your one and only chance to be able to show the real you. So you really have to dig deeper within you to say, out of the millions and billions of different stories I could have picked up, which contribute to my life, why did I pick up this one? And that story, that answer should be able to show how you developed as a human being. Where did you feel something happened? A turning point happened, a transition happened. And I'm going to share with you, in the same note of music, another story, and one of the most beautiful stories I have read, I think, in my time. It's about a Tamil boy who studies it in English and has never heard Hindi or spoken in Hindi. But his maternal grandmother was from Mumbai, and she loved this song, Chalte Chalte. I don't know if any of y'all have heard it. It basically says, Kabhi alvida na kehna. And when she dies, she requests for it to be played, and that's how she dies. And the boy decides, I want to learn this song. Okay, he's not a singer, he's not a musician. He wants to do computers. And then how he uses computers to understand the different notes and the tones and actually learn that song. And he sings that at the first year of losing his grandmother when he goes up on stage. And it ends with everyone applauding, but he hears none of it because all he hears is his grandmother's voice in the kitchen humming that song. And it's really beautiful. The whole arc of change goes right back. So it starts with his grandmother humming a song in the kitchen, which he never understood, to the end where she is in his mind humming the song in the kitchen again. Beautiful, evocative essay to such an extent, even when I speak, I cry. And that's the arc of change here. Okay, let's move to your writing assignment number 3. Kids, are y'all overwhelmed, or is this really helping y'all? Please feel free to unmute yourselves and tell us, what are y'all thinking at this point of time? Anyone?
It's helpful, yeah, so far.
Okay. Thank you, Saket. I appreciate that. Anyone else who's feeling very overwhelmed or feeling this is not helping, you can jump in too. Okay. All right. Writing assignment 3. Use your 5 points, elaborate the arc of change. What kind of change is it? It could be society, it could be behavior, it could be mindset, process, policies, character, human, people, anything. Okay? Work on your arc of change. So you don't have to write the whole story. You can literally say, with these 0.5, at 0.3, I want to show a societal change like this. And it'll be a slow or a whirlwind change. Like in the case of Harika, it was literally one line that changed her life. right? So you guys can decide what's going to be that 1 point moment year statement and start writing on the chat box. 2 minutes. Children, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask us questions. We're here to help you. Even if we sound like frogs, we're still here to help you. Okay, we have a comment here. Okay. Rishi, I do think you're coming closer to your top 5. You'll obviously have to narrow this further to talk about your examples, like Shabari keeps saying. Anya, I love you introduce numbers, people, events, feelings. I still think your story can go generic. You need to make it more specific, but it's a phenomenal start. Shabs, what are you feeling about Saket's right? I think he's doing a very good job in like 2 minutes. But
Yeah, definitely. I think he's made great excuse me, progress.
Saket, I love the way you're taking our comments and swinging it so quickly. They're brilliant. You'd be able to do a good essay if you have someone helping you for sure. We've given you 2 minutes, children. Start. I would like to see other kids also responding here. There's so many of you. I see so many new names here. I would love for you all to write something as well. Even if you'll just write your porch or anything. Wow, there's so many of you. Children, do try and take the opportunity. Don't be scared. We're not judging you at all. We're only here to help you. Ninad, let us know when the 2 minutes is over. Wow. Impressed, Vidushi. You've taken Mary's comments again and really managed to make it specific to you. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, we are done, ma'am.
All right, great. Anyone else wants to write anything here? Shabs, do you want to comment on Vidushi's and Saket's?
Yeah, I just think the ability to take on board feedback and incorporate it is something that's going to help you immensely, especially if you work with somebody, a counselor who understands where you want to go. And you've done, excuse me, both of you have done that really well. Giving the examples, structure, etc.
Oh, Parishi, I like this one. Approaching new problems with a different perspective. Sounds really interesting. I like that. So I see a very clear arc of change building up in the case of Saket's. Shabari, did you also feel the same way? I mean, I think the rest are close, but not
Yeah.
exactly there.
Yeah, definitely.
Harika, did you like anyone specifically here at this point of time? Because you had a beautiful arc of change.
Yeah, I think I like Sakets a lot because I mean I could even relate to it because I was born and brought up in Bahrain and I came to India at the age of 10. So it was a big difference for me as well. So yeah, I think it's an essay that I can relate with, and I think it has a lot of potential to be developed too.
I do agree. I really do love it. I love Vidushi, your start is brilliant. Obviously, you've not reached the stage where you're going to be in the arc of change. Parishi, again, you found your arc of change. You have to build a story towards it. So I think phenomenal. Great job, kids. I mean, um, all the other children, I don't like taking names here because I don't know y'all, but please feel free to start writing a paragraph and we'll help you understand if this makes sense or doesn't. Let's move to our final. Ninad, do you want to go back to that sheet quickly and come back to writing assignment 4 then? So Ira and Mary go for the last one, passion and growth.
Okay.
Okay.
Ira, you go first.
Okay. So a little my essay is about a queer about being a queer person or a person who supports queer issues and people in the UAE. So I would say that like first of all in the UAE starting a club is for a GSA is not heard of. So I start off my essay by talking about how growing up in a city that showcased innovation and futurism, there was a suppression of progressive ideas. And then I go on to talk about a pride club that I started in the school that the administration had reluctantly accepted, but the knowledge government, like the teaching government sector, noticed it. And there were some issues that occurred, and we had to change our name from the Rainbow Book Club to the Prism Club. And for a while, it was one that was only known to the people of the LGBTQ community so that it would be a safe space. And then I talk about how, despite being within the eye of the KHDA, we still reached out to authors. We got people into school to talk to students about books that they had written that featured queer characters and activists as well. And then at the end, I talk about how what starting the group taught me, and then what I hope to use the teachings from starting the club in the future and in my university.
Okay, so what I basically want to talk about is this issue of how to show your passion and your growth without using cringy language. Because as having done this for a long time, I know that a lot of students write adverbs and or adjectives of themselves which are completely over the top, and any admissions tutor reading that will just be put off. So one of the ways in which we help you is to write in a subtle way, because we need to be subtle. We need to be kind of smart about how we're presenting ourselves without what I would actually, I'm going to be blunt here and say boasting or showing off, because that's a real put off for any reader. And that's a skill that needs developing. And that's a skill that's not easy to develop, to be honest, and needs quite a lot of reflection to be able to do that. So that's one thing I would say about your passion, etc. That you need to write about it in a realistic way rather than a superlative way, because those are just words. They don't mean anything. Does that make sense? I hope it does.
And with that, let's come to your last writing assignment. That wasn't bad. We've managed to cross an hour and quite a few have managed thoughts for your essays. All right. Introspection. You've chosen your story. You've chosen your 5 points. You've chosen and probably decided the arc of change. Go deeper into the story. Now's the time to bring out the personal examples. Show, don't tell me. If you can show me how much you cared about it, it's a phenomenal essay. If you need to tell me, it's a crappy essay. All right. So be very careful about that. And the best way I get my kids to do this exercise is take 2 highlighters. Okay. Pink, which is my favorite color, is when you know you're showing it, and green is when you're telling it. Okay. If your essay is 65 to 70% pink, killer. If it's anything lesser than that, not killer. All right. So guys, get moving. Think about what are the deeper feelings about this story. So step outside yourself and look at it as an observer, as a reader. What do you think was the passion and the growth that came in this story? Okay, spill it out. All we need to know is I want to write about this because this is how it helped me grow. This is where I felt passionate. And don't tell me, oh, I became calmer. Tell me, in a situation, in a math exam, which I hate calculus, I could attempt it because I shut my eyes and saw the greens of Isha school. Something like that. If that's the case, I get that. Okay. So go there and try and go into the introspection and depth of your story. You've got your 2 minutes right now again. Children, new kids, try and make the most of it because after this, we're just going to simply tell you about some of the essays we love. And any of us can feel free to do it, or we can do a Q&A session. 2 minutes starts now. Yes, Jivantika, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ninad, you can move to the next slide so the children will have an idea who we are, what we offer. Yeah, that one. All right, children, let's start the chat button rolling. Fire your essays here, please. I know this is the toughest element, so it's not easy to write about it. You can even just write in points that this is what you're thinking. Any of the new kids that we have, a Vikya, Tanvisha, Shikha, I don't know, so many. Manasvi, Radhika. Any of y'all want to write a paragraph? We'd be happy to take a look too. All right, your 2 minutes comes to an end. I see nothing on the chat. Oh, I do. Sorry. Sakit, I appreciate you. It takes a lot to be able to write so quickly, that too in a group. I really appreciate you. And I know Shabs does too, because she's nodding her head vehemently and she's got no lunch in her stomach. So that's complete passion. Shabri is based in UK, children, in case you're trying to figure what's lunch. So Saket, things like I felt a keen curiosity and a drive to adapt. It's telling me, it's not showing me. Do you understand the difference? That's where you move.
Yeah. And I also wanted to say, Saket, about deep passion. Okay, these are the cliches that we don't want to use, because everybody's going to write those. And they just become, oh, here we go, another essay with all these superlatives. Okay, so how did you demonstrate that passion when you, did it read you to read something? Did it expose a new area of study for you, right? How was Isha Homeschool captivating? So all of these adjectives we need to take apart and say, how am I showing this? And we need to get rid of them and do the showing instead. Okay. So for example, I'll just give you an example here. The warmth of the Isha community sparked personal growth. So what you could say is the warmth of the Isha community, where I was greeted on the first day by Rohan, who then took me around, showed me around, became my best friend, is something I've embraced. And therefore, I make it a point that every new student that ever I come across, I try to make them feel comfortable. That's showing me how the warmth has made you change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks. So more specific, right?
Very more specific.
Got it.
Keep telling yourself, are you telling me or are you showing me?
Yeah.
If you do that exercise for yourself, you're sorted. And let's go to Anya as well. Shabs, if you have a minute, start reading that also.
Yeah. Okay, so you've given some specific examples here, which is good. So when you had the argument on the script, what happened then? I want to know what happened. How did you sort that out? Right?
And I want to know what was steamy about it. I want to know what and you not agree about. I want to know why you're saying as a daughter. Is there something that happened with your parent as well?
Yeah, exactly.
I love your last line. They're not wrong. I started understanding that values may be different, but they're not wrong. That's
absolutely.
Learning.
Yeah,
they're
that's a nice
either.
line. So you're getting there. You're definitely getting there. But we don't leave the reader hanging. Okay? Yeah. The reader wants to know.
The more involved they are in your story, the better your chances are that they love your story. Simple. Makes sense, Anya? Anya, right? Anya, you're with us? Makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. And this is one of the essays one of my kids wrote. How do you solve a 2,500 piece puzzle? And he speaks about how no one tries to do the trees first because it's all green. And he says, but that's most important to him because the people come much later. He wants the sky and the green done first. And it's a whole argument he and his father have. And then they kind of challenge themselves to see who does it faster. And it's a very interesting end. He's just written this essay, so he's not got into his regular decision yet. So I don't want to give out the end, but it was a very interesting end. So, I get it. I understand. Was there something else that's come? Ooh, Parishi's has come. Okay. Ooh, I like that. I like the way you've gone from using your track to bringing it up in your SAT. Try and do it something beyond academics, in my mind. And Sharps can contribute to it.
Yeah, and for me, it's these words that need to be changed. Your thrilling and transformative experience, okay? These are, again, these adjectives I'm talking about, or these adverbs I'm talking about that are completely over the top. And so the experience that you had in your trek, what was it? You know, were you lost? Were you scared? What did you learn from it? And how did you apply that? Okay. And also saying here, when you felt a familiar emotion of self-belief, normally, even as an adult, we have to really think deep to get back our self-belief. So I want to see that. I want to see how you struggled with that and how then you applied your lessons from your trek to this situation.
All right. So with that, let's now come to a pause here. As you all know, we are all our essay specialists. If any of y'all want help and support, please feel free to reach out. Customize your own is the best. You decide the price, you decide the work, we don't care. All we want to do is help you get into your dream college, okay? Our contact is in the next page, I think, Ninad. Can we go there, please? Thank you. Take a note of this, and then now let's move on to the Q&A session. And I'm hoping the children who haven't been able to write will be able to at least ask us questions here. Kids, have you all taken a picture of this? Ninad, can you put this on the chat as well for everyone and shut the presentation so that we can see each other into the last 10 minutes or so of Q&A?
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, just put the contact in the chat, please. Thank you. Awesome. All right, kids, please unmute yourselves, show us your beautiful faces, and ask us questions. Yeah, the first question is always the toughest. How many of y'all have started thinking about your Common App essays before this? Any raise of hands? Okay, Vidushi, Parishi, great, good to know. Saket, I think you've started thinking today for sure.
Yeah, today.
Brilliant, isn't it? I mean, if 1 hour can help you know your topic, it's worth it. What about anyone else who's not contributed? May I please unmute you guys and ask you all? Sanvi, are you a student? Hey, Sanvi. I can't hear you. I see you unmuted yourself. Oh, okay. Vikhyat? What was anyone, what was your biggest learning out of this whole 1 hour, 1.5 hours literally that you all have gone through with us? Just unmute yourself, please. Okay. Anya, Parishi, you guys want to do it?
I think I would say that it's pretty hard to be so concise and detailed in a 650-word essay, because once you start telling every detail to them, you feel like you can elaborate more, but the word count doesn't allow you. So it comes down to what appeals to them about your story, and you need to decide on that.
So do you think this exercise in any way helped you kind of understand?
Definitely. I think I know what to, like, I have a mindset on what to pick up on my story, at least, that, okay, I know if I am in a room with 300 people, how do I break the ice? Like, what did I actually do? How did me and my friend collaboratively made the lame jokes, but did not end up coming to a conclusion, but actually got mad at each other during the conference because of not having the best teamwork skills? But like, I guess it's the way to appeal to, I mean, not just appeal to them, but actually being reflective on myself, that like what actually happened during the moment. Like, was it just not being reflective, or were we just like angry, or were we just scared that we're not gonna be the ideal people to look up to, or are we gonna be compared to the legacy?
So true. So true. Thank you, Anya. Thank you for being so honest. And I'm glad you were able to think about it. I don't know, Radhika, Shikha, Vikhyat, Anuja, if you're here and you wanted to comment on what you felt was a big learning for you, even as a parent. Okay. Should we assume y'all don't have any questions or queries? All right, great. Have a wonderful evening, children. Please do start thinking about the writing assignments. It will help you. If any of y'all are looking for essay specialists or mentors, feel free to reach out to Ninad and he will connect you to us. All right, even if you just feel like chatting with us about something, don't even think for a moment, just reach out to us. Okay? All right. And Ira, Harika, Anish, thank you so much. It really means a lot when my children who we've helped for essays actually come back to help the other students. And I know you all have your exams, so best of luck, study hard, and I hope you all continue helping like this. Shabs, as usual, thank you. It was amazing
My
holding this.
pleasure.
Take care. Bye-bye,
Thank you.
Ninad. Thank you.
Bye. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Good night.
No worries.
Thank you so much.